Kathy. So he has this speech, and I'm going to share some excerpts from his speech with you. He says, thank you. You have to sleep. You have to eat the dream. You have to sleep the dream. You have to dream the dream. You have to believe it when nobody else sees it. You have to be possessed with the dream. My name is Kathy Tucker, and I eat dreams for a living. So I'm going to share with you today, and I know I'm up against a timeline, but I'm going to share to you Kathy's 5 not-so-basic business basics. Tell me your story, grit, have audacity, dress how you want to be addressed, and my favorite, show me the money. Let's go. So, tell me your story. How many people in here enjoy a good whiskey or bourbon? Well, I thought there would be more whiskey bourbon drinkers. You guys gotta hit the bar up after this. How many of you are familiar with the whiskey brand Uncle Nearest? Yes. All right. So, my husband and I enjoy wine, but we also enjoy a good cup of whiskey. So, Uncle Nearest, also known in his actual name, Nathaniel Green, is a man who taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. He was a black man, and actually in 2017 was officially recognized as the first African American man in history to be a master distiller. He is also a former slave. When he was freed, he went to work with Jack Daniels. So my husband and I, we drink whiskey, and I'm sure that, there's probably thousands of whiskeys, I don't know, hundreds of thousands around the world, but we choose to drink Uncle Nearest because of the story. I've had the opportunity over 12, 13 years to sit across the table with many, many business owners. And I always ask 2 questions, or I make 2 inquiries, as I say. The first one is, what do you do? What's your business? But the second one is, tell me your story. Whatever you do, whatever product you sell, whatever service you sell, somebody else does it. Even if it's innovative and you're in a niche market, somebody else does some iteration of it. People are going to buy what your story is. Every business owner I've sat down with, their story has been inspiring to me. So 1, you must tell your story, because that is what's going to differentiate you from anyone else. So 1, tell your story. 2, so we got to tell your story, now we're going to go to grit. How many of you know who David Goggins is? Oh, we're going to have fun with this. I told you I like people that scream at me. He curses too. So David Goggins grew up in a broken home. He was abused. He watched his mother be abused. He went to school up until high school and was told, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you should drop out, and essentially he was a waste of existence. So he tells this story how he was laying on his couch, and I think he said he was literally laying there eating chips. And a commercial came across the TV screen, and it said, join the United States Navy SEALs. Now, if you're not familiar with the Navy SEALs, think of that show that you love where some military people are dropping out of a helicopter into the ocean, they swim 10 miles, they go extract a hostage. It's 3 of them against probably 1,000 people. Those are Navy SEALs, and the Navy SEALs training is crazy. People die in that training. I am not joking. So David Goggins decided he wanted to go to Navy SEALs training. His first time around, I believe he caught pneumonia, and they kicked him out. He's like, yeah. The second time he went, he was getting over pneumonia and fractured several bones in his legs. His military officer said, dude, you're done. Let it go. You're going to die. And he says, no, I'm going back. And he got through the third time. That's grit. Listen, running a business is difficult. One of the things he says that I love is he says, do something that sucks every day. You're tired, you don't feel like making your bed in the morning? Make it. Somebody hurt your feelings? Suck it up. Somebody stole your idea? Get another one. He is very, very inspirational. When you're running your business, you're going to run out of money. You're going to be in the red. There are going to be days where you don't sleep. There are going to be days when you're crying in the shower. That's where you might cry. But you have to differentiate yourself, and you have to have grit. Tyler Perry started his company homeless in the back of his car. Imagine if he would have said, you know what, I think I'll just die here. But what about Oprah? I think she went to pitch her product or her show like a dozen times. What if on 11 she had said, you know what, this may not be meant to be? That dream, that idea that you have, don't stop. You have something special, and it's going to be difficult. Have grit. So we talked about telling your story. We talked about grit. My third one is have audacity. So there is a gentleman that I know, he's a local gentleman. He's a prolific fundraiser. I mean, he's raised millions and millions of dollars. I used to work at a nonprofit, and this is very tough. And I asked him, and I had a meeting with him, and I thought he was going to tell me some profound thing that he does. And this is what he said. I said, hey, sir, how did you raise this $20 million? And you know what he said to me? He goes, well, I had got word that there was some secret event going on with all of the wealthiest people in the state, all of Washington, all of the lawyers, everyone. And he goes, and I found the location, and I showed up. No, it's invite only. He's like, I showed up, and I walked in, and I said, well, what did they do? He said, they didn't even notice. I just walked in like I was supposed to be there, and I talked to everyone, and that's how I got my $20 million grant. And I thought to myself, the audacity of this man to walk himself in a room he doesn't belong. And that's what I would say to you. Have the audacity to go places where you don't belong. My husband and I just started a wine company. And do any of you know who the McBride sisters are?
Yes, yes.
They're like celebrities in the wine business. And I was on LinkedIn and I saw a picture of them zooming with John Legend. So I found Robin McBride and I inboxed her on LinkedIn. And then I said, hey, you probably get 1,000 of these, but my husband and I started a wine company, blah, 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 blah. I had the audacity to inbox this woman, and guess what? She messaged me back. I'm meeting with her next week. Don't think small. I'm not a basic boss. Don't think small. When you think your dreams are big enough, dream bigger. Because one thing that I learned is that the only person that can step in my way is myself. The only person that can limit what I can go is me. Because what God has planned for you, no man can interfere. So think big. That celebrity you want to have lunch with, do your thing. That business you want to grow, multinational, you want to grow a vineyard in Argentina, go to Argentina. Have the audacity. So we talked about telling your story, grit, having audacity, and then of course, because it's a theme here, dress the way you want to be addressed. I've heard dress to impress, but I like the terms here. I was told at one point in time, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want. I think about one of my favorite shows was Scandal. Not because of the scandal, although that was like super interesting, but I think about Olivia Pope. Her character turned into a whole vibe. And I'm like, man, everywhere she goes, she looks like she's leader of the free world. I'm like, who's that guy's name who was the president? I think about how you show up. I'm sorry to inform you of this, but I've done a lot of interviews over my years. I've conducted a lot. And this is my own statistics, so don't fact check it because it might be wrong. But I would say 75 to 80% of you securing an opportunity is based on how you present yourself. Because as humans, we are visual learners. We want to be able to picture the person in the place. We want to be able to see it, and you have to provide that visual. It doesn't mean that you have to have a certain type of hair, or you can't have tattoos, or whatever the stigma is. But what that means is that you have to show up and show out. You have to make a statement, and do not wait for the right opportunity. You will always see me suited and booted up, unless it's Costco on a Sunday and I got my 4 kids with me, mind your business. Because you never know who you're going to run into. And you have that one moment to make an impression on them. And you don't get to stand up on the stage and pour your heart out. You literally have 30 seconds for people to look at you and say, okay, who is she? I want to know her. So we talked about tell me your story, grit, have audacity, dress how you want to be addressed, and then my favorite, show me the money. It would be a crime as a banker to sit up here and not talk about financing. However, because we're short on time, and because my girl Ebony Carter hit that financing so hard, I'm gonna say what she said. In closing, I want to thank Tishara, and I want to thank all of you. This is an opportunity for us to pour into your cup. But, as I know many people have alluded to, this is also a day that you guys are pouring into my cup. Yesterday morning, I was notified that my father unexpectedly passed away. And guess where he's resting right now? The house of Day. Thank you, guys. Buried my brother a year and a half ago, and he rested at the house of Day. Life is hard, and I wondered, should I come today? But the positivity, the vibes, and what you all have poured into my cup today, I want to thank you for that. In closing, in my last words, I would just say, perseverance, perseverance. And the things that you love and whatever that dream is that you have, don't wait. Don't think small, think big. Thank you guys so much for coming out.